Watch this.
There was a cop standing next to us, and the next thing you know, we hear, she's alive, she's moving.
After 4 days, a 72-year-old woman was found alive after driving off a cliff near Melba. And no one was more surprised to find her in that condition than the ones who found her in that condition. Curious about what crimes are happening in your Boise neighborhood or any other? Boise Police is helping you do just that with a new website, putting more information at your fingertips. President Biden's impeachment inquiry continues after another vote in the U.S. House. And you guessed it, both of Idaho's representatives voted for it. They say the first 72 hours are the most crucial when trying to find a missing person. Well, a 4-day search came to a close with a surprisingly happy ending for one 72-year-old. 72-year-old Penny K. Clark went missing December 5th. Family reported she would either be in Kuna or maybe Marsing, probably out shopping. She wasn't in any of those places. And we know that because a couple of hunters found her car halfway down a cliff near Melba. It was just off the corner of Melba and Rim Road. And later, police found her alive in the same area. Law enforcement call her survival a miracle. But the two men who found her, well, they say it was all part of a bigger plan. Here's Andrew Bartline.
Hidden in the crevices of a Canyon County ridge, a missing woman's life was left up to Eddie.
Now we're doing this.
And Chase.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Work partners and hunters.
We don't come out here in the winter. There's no reason for us suicides to look.
And they couldn't believe what?
There's a car down here.
Or who?
Right down in the little crevice.
They'd found.
In the corner in the tumbleweeds. And we climbed down, did a little investigation in the car, and that's when we found Penny's information. I put Penny's name, Penny K. Clark, in on Facebook. And that's when it popped up. We found Penny K. Clark's car, a missing woman.
A 72-year-old woman having no recent contact with her family.
It was days. There's no question about it, it was days.
Canyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue had already been looking for Penny.
No one would have looked here, really. There'd be no reason to look here.
No reason to be there at all.
So we were, out under those clouds, and we decided to just make a random turn and get out, come back out this way, and this is where we ended up, and it all makes sense.
Eddie and Chase called 911, explaining the car, the crash, the scene.
And then one of the officers looks past the car with the binoculars and sees part of her and sees her moving her extremities.
You know, me and Chase were in the truck filling out reports, and one of the cops yelled, "Penny!"
Good Lord, not only have we found her, she's still alive.
With help from Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, they trekked Penny off the ridge and flew her to a nearby hospital.
No broken bones. You know, she was just cold, hungry, and tired. And I can't say enough what a miracle that is, you know?
In my experience, this is a less than 1% chance of surviving this. God had a different plan.
Multiple agencies coordinated the rescue, but the highest-ranking law enforcement officer in the county knows where to direct praise.
They're the true heroes here. They really are. They're the ones that saved this woman's life.
But Eddie and Chase?
And just...
they don't need the credit.
I don't know. Kind of lost for words.
They already got the payment of a lifetime.
And Penny's daughter arrived on scene when Penny got down to the ambulance. She said, "I never thought listening to my mom snore in a hospital bed would be the best Christmas present, you know, to receive, and I hope your Christmas is just as special as this." It really hit home.
The family is asking for privacy at this time. Sheriff Donahue says the night before they found Penny, it was 22 degrees in that area. He suspects she experienced some form of hypothermia, though the details surrounding Penny right now are sparse, other than knowing largely she seems to be okay. And it's not really time to speculate, but the scene, Brian, doesn't exactly look super normal, like the road leading up to that cliff. They call it Rim. It's on Rim Road and Melba Road. The road ends like a football field before you even get there, and then it turns to dirt, and then it's kind of a turnaround area. So it doesn't seem like a normal situation to happen. And
A lot of questions, obviously some
Yeah.
great answers and resolution, but like the question of how she ended up in this spot is still kind of, well, not being revealed at this point.
the family, from what the police were told, is they thought that she was somewhere between like Cuna or Marsing,
Okay.
potentially doing shopping or something along those lines. And so police weren't even looking in that area necessarily.
Right.
But there are some tire tracks over there. There's some shotgun shells in the area too. So maybe people are shooting shotguns out there. It doesn't seem a place that someone would be driving that is not familiar with the area. So it's concerning, but she seems to be safe right now, which of course is a good thing.
And you being out there today, cell service out there, not very good.
Yeah, I believe when they called police, they had to climb out of, I don't want to call it a canyon, it's more so they climbed up the ridge,
Right.
kind of went more toward the road area, and then met police out there and kind of showed them where it was. Police said, well, what's the address? What do you mean, what's
Middle
the
of
address?
nowhere, Melba.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. So yeah, they met back on the street and showed them where the car was, and they found her.
Well, hopefully, as they said, Eddie and Chase have a great Christmas, and a great job they did. All right, thank you very much, Andrew. Great story. Throughout the Boise mayoral race, we heard a lot of debate on public safety and the Boise Police Department. From a 50,000-foot perspective, we heard things like, well, Boise just doesn't feel safe like it used to, or I feel so much safer now than I did 10 years ago. So you got different perspectives there. The key word here is kind of like this feel, how it feels to you. Headlines and stories can push people to feel a certain way at a certain time, depending on what they're reading, maybe depending on their algorithm. But those stories don't always paint the whole picture. They're just that. They're just one kind of snippet of the whole picture. Grasping the whole story on public safety in Boise does take time, does take data, and the statistics, you got to compare all that stuff. Getting that information also takes time through public records requests, and that was the way it was until this week when Boise police rolled out their police data dashboards to track these crime stats, and everybody can access them. Joe Paris spoke with Boise police leadership about it.
Is the city of Boise a safe place to live? That answer is in the eye of the beholder. But Boise police understands the gravity of that question, so they're rolling out facts to supplement any feelings.
The new dashboard online is really our effort to give our community opportunity to look at crime statistics and things that are going on within our community.
Boise Police Deputy Chief Tammany Brooks says this set of dashboards isn't just a window into crime. It is a complete data set for the public to look at.
It not only allows them to see general information specifically relating to crime trends over a long-term period, but they can also look at crime-specific details if they want to see things that are occurring within their own neighborhood or generally speaking within the entire city.
Deputy Chief Brooks walks us through what people can expect to find on the set of 4 dashboards.
We have the bar graphs that demonstrate kind of a trend analysis look over a period of time, and then we have those crimes broken down by person crimes, property crimes, and crimes against society. But we also have the mapping feature as well. And so some people may just want to see overall trends for the city, and some people may want to see information specific to actually where they live, where they work.
The crime stats reflect a rolling 5-year period, and they reflect reports as recent as 10 days ago. You can sort by crime type, area of the crime, and historical reports. Crucial for informed community discussion.
They could actually see almost in live time, at least within a couple of weeks, the crime trends that have occurred not only recently, but they can look back historically as well.
It's not a said and done project either. Brooks says BPD is looking for feedback on the platform, as well as trends that people find in the data.
We invite that. And so with these new dashboards and the information that we're providing to the community, we want feedback. One, from a transparency standpoint, we are accountable to the people that we serve. And so we don't have a problem with people questioning, hey, we see this is occurring. What is the police department doing about it? Because that gives us an opportunity to share information with them as well, and it could answer and alleviate maybe some concerns that they have.
This data was always available, but it did take extra steps through things like public records requests, and there are times and waiting periods. But now the data is published as quickly as possible, all in an effort to show the community the reality of what Boise police sees.
We're always striving to be transparent. We recognize that we're reportable and responsible to the public that we serve. And so to me, this is kind of a good step forward for us to demonstrate our commitment to that level of transparency.
So what are the limitations to this data? I'll tell you that personal information and specific addresses, they are not included in the dashboards. And serious crimes with the sensitive nature, crimes associated with sexual assault, for example, those are not included on the map to protect the identity of the victims. So the website also has a crime trend dashboard, and residents can place filters to see the overall data. And according to the website, Boise's total number of crimes has been trending downward over the last 5 years. But let's play around on this a little bit. And this is actually, it'll show you just at the top of this map here. We're looking between November 15th and the 3rd of December. So those are the most recent. And if we zoom in, let's just go to this neighborhood, for example, you can just see in this small time frame, these are all of the reported crimes that have happened. For example, in downtown, let's take a look. What happened over on 12th Street? Well, we could see that there was a controlled substance possession that happened at 2 o'clock in the morning on the 29th of November. What does that mean to you? Well, it depends if you live in that neighborhood. And sometimes we get, comments. Oh, well, there was a fight on this block, or I saw a lot of police lights. What was that? Well, you can look this up. And again, it's not exactly instantaneous in the sense that a crime happens and later that day it's going to show up. But as you go around and click through, you can kind of get an idea of, well, what does my neighborhood encompass? What is the area near where I work encompass? So again, Brian, this is data that it's not new information. It's not like the Boise police had never published, the crime reports going on in specific areas. But now that it's transparent and people can go in this, frankly, it answers a lot of questions that we get into our newsroom.
So, I mean, basically, you touched on it. This information has been available before, but usually they kind of release it like on a year-end kind of thing or month to month. This just makes it a little bit more recently. You said within 10 days this stuff is posted?
Yeah, about 10 days. The goal is less than 2 weeks, but 10 days is really what we're looking at. And it's interesting, too, that the way that we got this data before, sometimes spreadsheets, sometimes documents, this is a very visual and a very intuitive way to go through this. And I'm just telling you, just from the experience I had playing on it this afternoon, you can go through neighborhood by neighborhood and you can check exactly what's going on. This is something that if you were to have to sort through in terms of like an Excel sheet, that would take a lot of time to get through. Now, it's right in front of us.
Pretty easy. All right, thanks, Joe.
On this vote, the yeas are 221 and the nays are 212. The resolution is adopted.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. U.S. House of Representatives voted to continue the impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. And as you heard, every Republican member of the House, all 221 of them, including both Idaho Congressmen Mike Simpson and Russ Fulcher, voted in favor of it. All Democrats who were there, 212 of them, they voted against the resolution. Well, this vote just means the House can formally open an impeachment inquiry and kind of gives them a little bit more power as to what they can do, despite finding nothing that would warrant a further investigation. After a year of looking into President Biden's involvement with his son Hunter's business dealings and an informal inquiry since September, those looking into such things have yet to find evidence of any wrongdoing or misconduct by the president. So passing this resolution, I should say, is going to grant the House full authority to enforce like a subpoena, any subpoena that is issued that has so far gone ignored. Now, we did ask both Simpson and Fulcher to explain why they voted for this extension of power, and have yet to hear back from either of them. But Congressman Simpson did say this 3 months ago, supporting then Speaker Kevin McCarthy's call to formalize this inquiry. It did fail back then, but Simpson said back then he believes the American people deserve transparency and answers from elected officials. Well, we're still waiting from our answers from ours. There's certainly a lot of other things to know about here in the 208, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, why not tell us your 411? As we go to the break, text us 208-321-5614. Make sure you include your name and the hashtag the 208. We want to hear what you think about the show. And if you keep it clever, concise, and of course clean, we might show yours at the end of the show. was a pretty active morning for law enforcement around the Treasure Valley, but luckily, well, it turned out to be a hoax and a far-reaching one. Morgan Romero explains and has a few more tidbits in the 411.
These types of events are extremely disrupting to not only police department functions, but to the overall mission of education and childhood.
A number of schools in Valley View and Emmett school districts were evacuated today after a string of hoax bomb threats were made across the state. After the threats, Nampa and Caldwell police cleared the schools. Students were back home by noon today. Westata School District said law enforcement has been receiving hoax bomb threats all across Idaho. Students will go back to school tomorrow. Idaho is getting $100 million for local roads through a historic transportation funding solution. Today, 48 transportation projects got grants as part of the Strategic Initiatives program by Governor Brad Little and the legislature. The projects will help upgrade local roads. Speaking of roads, Yellowstone National Park roads are opening this Friday for the winter season. But on most of the roads, you can only use approved commercial guided snowmobiles and snow coaches until mid-March when the snow lightens. The only year-round roads are between the north entrance in Gardner, Montana, and the northeast entrance in Cook City, Silvergate, Montana. Attention artists! Right now, the Idaho Commission on the Arts is accepting applications for the Traditional Arts Apprenticeship Program. It gives $3,000 to each art mentor to help them teach motivated learners skills and the value of community traditions. Idaho traditional artists can apply on arts.idaho.gov by January 31st. From artists to art, congratulations to the winners of the Department of Education's Holiday Card Contest. 5th grader Ariane Aravuru from Trailwind Elementary in Boise won the K-6 category with a drawing of 2 cute penguins. And Soda Springs 3rd grade homeschool student Ashley Lind won the 7th through 12th grade category with a picture of a tree and holiday cardinals. They were the winners among more than 900 entries. Their artwork will be showcased on the Department of Education's 2023 holiday card. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Morgan Romero.
Looks like a fun time at the Boise Depot, and I know to a lot of folks that scene would look a whole lot more Christmassy if there was some snow on the ground. So I thought we'd take a quick moment and talk about how likely it is that Boise might see a white Christmas. We're 12 days away still, so in the world of meteorology, a little too far out to predict yet if we'll have snow on the ground this Christmas. But normally on December 25th, Boise has about a 35% chance of seeing any precipitation, an 18% chance that that precipitation will be snow. So relatively low, and the probability of having snow on the ground on Christmas Day is only about 26%. Last year, though, do you remember Christmas of 2022? We had 3 inches on the ground on December 25th. Over the last, 80 years or so, since 1940, we've had 22 Christmases in Boise with at least an inch of snow on the ground. And the most snow that's ever fallen on December 25th was back in 1998 with 6.1 inches. So to find snow these days, you'll have to look a lot further than the Treasure Valley. Here's a live look at Highway 55 at Smith's Ferry. You can see the roadways are clear, but plenty of snow off to the side. I know skiers and boarders want that view to look a whole lot more snowy, especially as you climb up in elevation. It's not going to happen, at least not for the next several days. A very stagnant weather pattern continues. So right now we're at 41 degrees in Boise. We enjoyed a lot of sunshine today. It was really a pleasant mid-December day. Temperatures climbed into the low to mid 40s across most of the Treasure Valley. Hovering in the mid 30s still for Twin Falls and Jerome. It's been quite a bit colder over there, and that was again the case today. Stanley had cloud cover a lot of the day, so only hit 22 this afternoon. So here's that outlook. We have stable but stagnant conditions still in play, courtesy of this really big, broad ridge of high pressure that has just parked itself over the northwest. So this has sinking air underneath it, doesn't allow any systems to come through. It's strong enough to funnel all of this precipitation up and over the top of it. So we will keep this in play for at least several more days. And then we see a pair of systems off to the west that will eventually start to come closer, inch their way east and combine. And by the end of the weekend into early next week, that's when we see our next best chance of scouring out the inversion and bringing some rain and snow back into the mix. So I do think at this point that precipitation will be rain for the lower elevations. So no surprise. Our air stagnation advisory continues now through at least Friday night, could be extended even further into the weekend. A freezing fog advisory goes into effect late tonight through midday Thursday for all the areas east of Twin Falls because of the possibility of that fog freezing, sticking to the roadways. It can create some very slick conditions. As we look ahead to your Thursday here in the Treasure Valley, looks almost identical to what we saw today. Maybe not quite as much sunshine, but still overall relatively pleasant with those calm winds, areas of clouds and fog. It's hard to determine with conditions like this exactly where the sun will break through. I count on some tomorrow. Temperatures at 40 degrees, could be a little warmer if we do get the benefit of that sunshine. And look at our west central mountains outlook. So temperatures hovering in the mid 30s, very cold mornings, climbing though into the 40s by this weekend. If McCall hits 41 on Sunday, that would tie a record high for that date. So keep that in mind. This is evidence of that inversion where normally temperatures cool with height. Instead, as we're seeing here, warming with height. And then on Monday, here comes that system that again will bring some high elevation snow at first. Snow levels will eventually drop a bit, but it does look like next Monday, Tuesday, it'll be a cold rain here in the Treasure Valley as temperatures actually flirting with 50 by next Tuesday. Looks like we'll dry out by next Wednesday.
All right, we got a lot of comments to end today's show. Most of these comments will have to do with the impeachment inquiry that our representatives voted for today in D.C. Further investigation into Biden is another example of the GOP fleecing Americans after months of investigation with no proof. They're still wasting my money, says Larry. I can't understand your resistance to this inquiry. I am not a Trump supporter. I just want clarification. I hope President Biden did not do what he is accused of. This is the best chance that we have to find out. That one is from Steve, I believe. Yeah, tell me about transparency when the GOP will not investigate or hold the former guy accountable. It's worth pointing out, back in September, we also brought up how Congressman Mike Simpson said about Trump's impeachment inquiry back in 2021, that he said, as elected officials, we cannot continue to pursue these personal and political attacks. And he kind of wanted to move past it since Trump was already out of office or heading that way anyway, that he didn't think it was possible or should be continued. That's kind of how he stood on Trump versus where he stands on Biden right now. Interesting that both Idaho reps supported continuing impeachment of President Biden, but did not when they did that search for Trump. That's what I was pointing out before. We have a current president facing an impeachment and another one facing indictments. Slim pickings